Hello everybody and welcome to Republic of Play News for the 24th of May 2018. For the uninitiated, Republic of Play News comes at you every week on youtube.com/Republic of Play every single Thursday. That's right, every single Thursday. That's what we tell them. You know, but someone had a family emergency. Oh, stop crying. You didn't even like your mother anyway. Anyway, without further delay, let's get into the news. So typically I like to kick the show off by going through the noteworthy releases in the past week, and the first one I wanted to mention was Ancestors Legacy. I've got a review up of this game on my channel. It's a squad-based tactical RTS game set with Vikings and medieval era. It's kind of like a Company of Heroes but with Vikings. It's a great game. It's really well polished, it's got a long campaign, and it's got pretty good multiplayer, and I've been playing it a little bit more on Twitch. They solved their issues where it was crashing a little bit, which I mentioned in my review. That seems to have been gone, so I really highly recommend you check it out. And as I mentioned before, on CD Keys, if you use my link, you can get 50% off. Next, we have State of Decay 2. Haven't played this game too much, not very well informed on it, didn't play the first one. It's kind of not doing too well on Metacritic. I mean, Metacritic isn't the be-all and end-all of anything, but it is 71 on Metacritic and a 4.9 user score. It is tied to the Microsoft Store if you want to get it. However, if you have Microsoft Game Pass, you can just play it for free. Next up is the DLC for Cities Skylines called Park Life. It adds parks and recreational buildings and also allows you to build things next to pathways, which is a big feature. Not going to go too into it, just wanted to bring it to your attention if you're a Cities Skyline fan. Next up is Stellaris Distant Stars Story Pack. It's a mouthful to say. Basically, this adds a lot of new anomalies and a few kind of really cool events tied to a few certain ones into the game as well. So not going to go too long into that. Don't be fooled by some of these screenshots though. A lot of this stuff came with the free Neven update, the 2.1 update. Make sure you do your research and know what you're actually buying. It's mostly just for the anomalies. You do get extra Leviathans if you happen to have Leviathans already, I think. It's really confusing, and then they unlock enclaves for you as well if you don't have Leviathans. I'm not too sure. The game, basically they just want you to get all the DLC and then you'll have everything, right? So that's all the noteworthy releases in the past week. The next one we have is the Battlefield 5 reveal trailer, which is a bit of a hot topic right now as it just got revealed yesterday, and it's going through a bit of a controversial stage and a bit of a backlash to it as well, especially when you compare it to something like a Battlefield 1 trailer, which is overwhelmingly positive. So the game was confirmed to be set in World War II, as you can clearly see by the trailer below. And if you haven't seen it already, the likes and dislikes are about 1-to-1, and the comments are being completely destroyed with hashtag not my battlefield, hashtag not my battlefield, all over the place, okay? So why are people unhappy? What's going on? Well, the trailer has a strong female presence to it, and the game is set in World War II, and those are two things that don't typically go together. And as well as that, it's got a very lighthearted, comical feel to it as well. Now, I think most of the dislikes don't come from the fact that there's a female in the game. I think it comes from the fact that the female is front and center stage, you know, on the front of the box art that you'll see at the end, and is firmly in the trailer throughout, okay? And that she's got like a robotic arm, and that none of them are wearing helmets. Not just that it's a she, but like they're not really representing World War II as you would at least imagine it or think about it or have experienced it. I think people kind of want to Saving Private Ryan, Battlefield 1942, World War II game, and instead it's like a kind of buddy co-op shooter in a way, with like crazy customization. So I have a theory about the customization and why it's gone this route. Now, having lots of females and stuff in it, I think that's actually just for customization and the fact that they want to be a little bit more inclusive maybe, which is cool. If you want more females in games, I think that's fine. I don't think it's a good idea to put them in games that have a strong thematic presence where there were no females, right? World War II, I'm sorry, but I know there are females that acted in World War II and all that, but definitely not front and center stage, but this game has them front and center stage. So there you go. So I'm fine with girls in games. I love playing games with girls in them, or I don't really care if there's a girl in it. I just play a game for a good game. Like, I like games like Life is Strange or The Last of Us or whatever. There's girls in all these types of games. As long as it's a good game and it fits the theme, then everything's great. I played PUBG as a girl. I played Fallout as a girl. I like playing as girls in games. It's fine. And I think they should be in games, and the option should be there. But like I said, when it's thematically incorrect, pretty much, to do it, I think you are just going to poke the hornet's nest, I guess, and anger a lot of people that are expecting World War II. I mean, why is this even set in World War II is kind of my feeling. Now, my theory about the customization is they revealed, we'll get into the gameplay stuff, and they revealed basically some very interesting things about the game that wasn't shown in that trailer at all. I think that trailer is a pretty average trailer. There was no music to it, which is kind of weird, and then it cuts from cinematic to kind of gameplay, but it's not really either. There was definitely some cool moments in it. I just don't think it had that momentum that I think the Battlefield 1 trailer has and a few other trailers that they've done had. But yeah, my theory about the customization is the fact that they revealed the fact that there's no premium anymore. It's not going to be DLC maps. Everything's just going to be free. But they didn't really talk about, and then they said everything you earn customization-wise is earned in the game. But they didn't talk about how you actually get that. Is it a loot box? Is it a... Can you just buy it with a microtransaction? What's the deal? You know, how do you get it? Can you just earn what you want? Like, you should be able to? Or is it, you know, you got to play the game and you'll get drops and stuff, and that's how you'll get it. And that's probably how you'll get it. It'll probably be loot boxes for just cosmetics. They were strongly focusing the fact that it's not paid to win, but they wouldn't also say that there's no loot boxes. And if there was no loot boxes, I think they would come out and say that, but they didn't. So expect to see some loot boxes. Now, I think that customization allows them to make up, that wacky kind of customization allows them to make up for the money that they otherwise would generate with the DLC passes and the premium passes and stuff like that. So I think they're going for the more Fortnite model, they're going for the more PUBG model or CSGO, loot boxes because of cosmetics, and get yourself a robot arm, get yourself some war paint, get yourself like a crazy bat with nails and stuff like that, and interesting outfits and no helmets and all that stuff. So it's very much just like you're a rogue commando squad in World War II, and I'm sure, like, I know that, yeah, there's instances of this happening. There's instances of guys with swords in World War II. There's instances of all these crazy things happening. But generally speaking, not everyone looked like that. And the battlefield's going to be filled with everyone looking like that. So that's where my, like, kind of little issue comes in. But the gameplay sounds good, so I'm willing to forgo that. I mean, it's not World War II. If I just tell myself it's not World War II, then I don't care anymore. It's just a game, and then it's fine. And I think that's what most people have to do. So I wonder why they even bothered setting it in World War II. I almost think they did set it in World War II. And then when the Battlefront kind of backlash happened against their DLC policy and their player base dropped, I think then they were like, well, we need to do something. We need to force in cosmetics. How do we force in cosmetics in World War II? Let's just think of all the crazy-ass weaponry that we can put in there and the crazy-ass stuff, and we'll do that. And I think that's probably what happened. Some of the cool things with the new gameplay, I'm not going to go through this too much just because I'm getting a little long in the tooth on Battlefield, although it's a shorter show today with less stories. Jack Frags has got an excellent comprehensive video about this, but some of the interesting things to note are no season pass. There's a co-op mode with up to 4 players, and it'll actually kind of change dynamically when you play the missions a little bit. They're not all just the same. Ragdolls, player bodies can now be dragged and pulled away and revived. Anybody can now revive, it's not just the medic. The medic will revive better and faster, apparently. Now you can also build in the battlefield. You can build fortifications, small sandbags, traps, tank traps, barbed wire, things like that. And the support class can build offensive placements like machine gun nests and little bunkers and things like that. So those are 2 massive changes. Then the health bar, your health doesn't auto regenerate, so you gotta actually fall back and take health. And everything has an animation now where you have reviving has a proper animation, takes time to do it. Healing has an animation, takes time to do it, as does taking ammo and stuff like that. So I recommend you go check this stuff out. There's a comprehensive list of new things that are coming to the game, wildly changing how the gameplay is going to play, and it actually seems like the pacing is going to be slowed down a lot. That trailer was very fast-paced, running around, sliding, reloading his MG42 on the fly, you know, not even like cocking it as well, which I thought was really weird. But it seems like it's actually going to have a slower pace, so be interested to see how it all shakes out. I'm looking forward to the game. You know, I think it's a shame that they've decided to show it the way they have, but I'm looking forward to it. I honestly think if they didn't have like the female on the front of the box and heavily in the trailer, nobody would even cared if they were just in the game that much, because Call of Duty already did it, so it's like whatever. Alright, let's move on. The next one I want to talk about is a game that just got announced called Imperator Rome, and this was announced at ParadoxCon 2018. And yes, this is a Paradox-developed grand strategy game set in Rome. For those who know me, you might know a thing or two about me, that I like Roman things. I named this channel Republic for a reason, and I call you guys Senators for a reason. I love Roman things. I love strategy games. So these are 2 things that are coming together that have got me very excited. Now, I'm not a big Paradox guy. I like Stellaris. I'm okay. I kind of like Hearts of Iron sometimes. I didn't like CK2, and I've never played EU4. So, you know, I barely touched on Paradox games. I think the true Paradox games are like EU and CK. and Hearts of Iron. And those are the ones I actually am not that big of a fan of. So I don't know if I'm going to like this game. But graphically, it looks awesome. You know, I'm probably going to start learning EU4 and see if it's for me. The only thing that bums me out about games like this is it's basically a board game. And what I mean by that is you've got all these tiny little regions and you just hop regions. You don't move from region to region. You know, you don't have full control of where you place. If I want to put this army here, I can't, for instance. He has to go into the center of the regions. And that's because the whole game is just balanced that way. It's a region, you know, you fight over regions and it's like region swapping when you conquer them. And I just wish it was more like Total War on the campaign, in the fact, the one thing I want from Total War's campaign is that move anywhere, tile-based movement or 3D movement on a campaign and move around, take what you want. I just think that would be so much cooler. But I haven't played this game, so who knows. But this game looks awesome. I love the art style, I love the UI. It looks really cool. It's going to be a deep, in-depth, ancient Roman, and even before, I think they plan on having Alexander and stuff, like the time of Alexander in there and things like that, and the secessionist kingdoms. So I think, or secession kingdoms. So that's going to be really cool. Really, really cool. The map looks huge. The only other thing I want to mention is it goes from the west of Spain, basically west coast of Africa, west of Spain, all the way to the east of India. So it is a massive, expansive map. It's got incredibly in-depth, minute, granular provinces and regions and factions. You can play as any faction and mess about. It's going to be huge. So I'm looking forward to it. You know, I can get into anything Roman. So even with that little region thing that only I probably care about, no one else, I'm sure I'll still be able to get into it. So keep that on your radar. It's not coming until 2019, early 2019, they say. So it's quite a while off. But hopefully I'll be able to get something early for that and talk about it ahead of time. The next game that was announced at ParadoxCon was Age of Wonders Planetfall. So this hasn't been made by Paradox themselves, it's been made by Triumph Studios, but Paradox are going to be publishing it. So it's a similar deal to like we had Battletech and Surviving Mars. So they're going to publish it, they're not going to internally develop it. I've never played an Age of Wonders game, but it looks pretty cool. It kind of looks like Civ actually from the top, but it's not really about that. If we just have a look here, Age of Wonders Planetfall is a new strategy game from Triumph Studios, creators of the critically acclaimed Age of Wonders and Overlord series, bringing all the exciting tactical turn-based combat and in-depth 4X empire building of its predecessors to space in an all-new sci-fi setting. So, I'm not going to comment about it because I just don't know too much about it, but it looks like Civ. But it looks really, really nice all the same. So, that's just a really layman's version of that game. So, let's move on. So, ahead of their own conference in just a few weeks, Bethesda announced Rage 2. So those unfamiliar, Rage is a first-person shooter, post-apocalyptic kind of game. The first one was okay. There's a little bit of a driving element to it as well, I suppose. Fun fact, first game I ever reviewed was actually Rage 1 for money. And I liked it, actually. I gave it like a high 7, I think. I actually really enjoyed it. Just because I like first-person shooters, I like post-apocalyptic settings, and I thought the AI and the combat was really engaging. It was just kind of overall, it was probably just kind of a boring story, though, and a boring game. This one seems to be going a little bit more the kind of over-the-top Mad Max or Borderlands kind of route, where it's like, hey, crazy car combat, explosions, you know, crazy enemies and weird people and stuff like that, and lots of color. It looks cool, it looks nice, graphically it looks very impressive, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. Don't know if it's really for me though. I do prefer the more gritty, realistic, rounded approach to post-apocalyptic settings, a la Last of Us or whatever, but not every game should be like that, so it's cool to see a little bit different, and it looks like it's been made by the guys that, like ID and Avalanche Studios, so they've made Mad Max and id have made, obviously, just really good shooters, so hopefully it'll have just really strong shooting mechanics, and it'll just be a lot of fun, so just thought we'd mention it. So the final little bit of news I wanted to touch on is that Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is coming exclusively to Battle.net for PC, which is pretty big news in itself, and hopefully it will reduce the amount of cheaters and stuff. I don't know if that's how that's going to work, but their network infrastructure is very good, and they have a pretty high quality threshold for the games that are on there, so hopefully that everything goes smoothly and well over there. Black Ops also announced that they're getting rid of their single player and that they're doing Battle Royale. I haven't played a Call of Duty game since Black Ops 1. They're all the same, and I just don't really care personally, so it's not really a game for me. But Battle Royale is something I actually do play because I'm a filthy casual. So I would be tempted to at least follow and have a look and see what they do with it. I actually had a friend tell me that he's thinking of pre-ordering it just based on that announcement alone, which I thought was pretty crazy. The things that they left out are how many people are in the Battle Royale. They said there's going to be land, sea, and air, but you know, typically in Call of Duty, land and or sea and air have always been on rails. You know, maybe kill streaks where you just fire from the air or whatever and you're on rails. You don't really have control like you do in a Battlefield game. They said the map is going to be 1,500 times bigger than Nuketown, and that's pretty much all I gathered from that. Then they obviously talked a lot about zombies and stuff like that. Don't have any interest, just never had any interest in that. Zombies in World at War was awesome, and then I just never liked it after that. I think I'm in the minority for that, but it got more complicated. They added way more things and a lot more like silly things like the teddy bear and stuff, and I was just like, meh. Just got kind of bored of it. So yeah, coming exclusively to Battle.net, and it's coming out on the 12th of October, which I think is interesting because EA's Battlefield announced that they're coming on the 11th of October if you have EA Play or Origin Access. So pretty interesting. They're both duking it out around the exact same time, about the same week, same launch week. So that should be pretty interesting to see which one comes out better, I guess. Both games are getting out of the way of Red Dead Redemption 2, which is dropping the next month. So that's pretty much it for the Republic of Play news for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's only a few stories and probably stuff that's not too much of a concern for people who are only interested in strategy games, but I like to cover the wider industry as well. I like shooter games. Don't like Call of Duty, do like Battlefield, so I thought it was interesting to talk about it. Alright, let me know what you think of the stories below in the comments. You can find the stories as well in the description below. Leave me a like if you like this kind of show, and we'll be back next Thursday with another Republic of Play news. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.